All right, George, here we go.
Excellent.
You already know, man. It's Deion Dawkins, and you listening to the Real Deal Sports Show on the Beat 105.5.
Yes, you are. Good morning, Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Real Deal Sports Show every Saturday morning, coming to your speakers live from WLGZ HD2, the Beat 105, live from the Rock Palm Brokers Studio. We bring you live sports every Saturday morning, talking sports of all sorts, getting you up to date on what's going on with the NFL, with the sports of all sorts overall. We brought to you by, remember, Buffalo 10, we salute you. We dedicate the show every week to the Buffalo 10, to that massacre that happened on May 14th, 2022 at Top Supermarket, Buffalo, New York. You will never be forgotten. We will always dedicate the show to the Buffalo 10. Buffalo 10 is always dedicated on the show. And as I just mentioned, we're coming to you live from the Rock Palm Brokers Studio this morning. And we're coming to you live, bringing you sports of all sorts this morning. And we're going to get right into it. I know Buffalo Bills fans got to be saying what's going on with the Buffalo Bills, what's going on with the releases of key players like Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse should have been gone 2 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. I would have cut Mitch Morse 2 years ago to save cap money. You had Ryan Bates there for the last 3 years. I would have placed Ryan Bates as the center. And you just go with it as is. I thought they were going to finally do that. The problem I have with Bean and McDermott is they hold on to the veteran guys for way too long. You can't keep veteran guys that long and expect to get your team better. You got to make moves every offseason, get rid of some of these older guys. Next, Jordan Poyer. Because Jordan Poyer tried to go to the Dolphins last year. I would have let him go anywhere. They say, man, you ain't coming back here, man. Go on, Jordan Poyer. Why would you bring him back and sign him to a 2-year deal? Now you have to release him and take a little slight dead money cap. I wouldn't even mess around with Jordan Poyer last year. Micah Hyde, the better of the two safeties. Those guys, let me tell you, they're two of the best safeties that ever played and suit up for the Buffalo Bills. But you got to know when to say when. When these guys are over the hill, they've been over the hill for the last year or two. The 13-second game in Kansas City was really their last hurrah when they were really good, steady, top-notch safeties in the National Football League. They both lost a step due to injuries as well. Micah Hyde, I just hope you retire because your neck injury, that's a serious situation. You got young kids. Retire. You could get in our side of the thing, become an announcer or something to do, head coach or do something because you're smart, you know the game. It's time to say when. We love Micah Hyde, great ball player, great man off the field. Always enjoyed interviewing him. But, man, unfortunately, no one to say when. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White. We love Tre'Davious White, great guy, but that's not a hard decision at all. You got to cut a guy when you're paying him that kind of money. He's getting paid big-time money, y'all. And unfortunately, he on Thanksgiving night, we were there in the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana on Thanksgiving night a couple of years ago when he first tore the ACL. Then last year against the Miami Dolphins, when the Bills was blowing the Dolphins out, Tre'Davious White ended up rupturing his Achilles. It's no fault to his own. The man is a great player, good athlete. But how many players like Tre'Davious White was on a Hall of Fame steady pace. He was on a Hall of Fame pace. But unfortunately, how many football players we all can say we know we're on a Hall of Fame pace, but due to injuries, it stopped their career or slowed it down enough where you may not be in consideration for Hall of Fame. I hope he can make it back. Hope he can make it back with another team, or maybe come back with the Bills down the road, something of that nature. We got to see about him. But these are cuts, necessary cuts. The cutting isn't over. We're going to see who else they're going to let go. You see Gabe Davis, wide receiver Gabe Davis. He's taking offers. I would not bring Gabe Davis back. If I'm the Bills, I'd draft a receiver in the first round. Pick me up some of these safeties. All of a sudden, the safety position is coming like the running backs. They're getting rid of all these safeties. And we're going to bring up, we got J-GILLZ. J-GILLZ, welcome to Real Deal Sports Show co-host J-GILLZ. welcome. What's your take on all these quality safeties? Justin Simmons from Denver. You got Breland Bird coming from the Titans, went to the Eagles. He was cut already. What's your take on what's going on with the tight end position?
With the safety position, and just as you were, going the rundown of the Bills Mafia, just letting them know. Also, let's not forget, the some more cap savings with Deontay Hardy and Najee Hines getting released as well. I know those were the foundational pieces that you were referring to, but also the Von Miller restructure, another huge move for Bills Mafia and Buffalo Bills fan Brandon Beane, finding and allowing Von Miller to take less guaranteed money than his original contract. That was stunning in my opinion, especially coming off the year that he had. That just shows the commitment that he has to Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia. So hopefully they can appreciate what he's done for the organization in the short time he's been there. But absolutely, when you talk about the slew of safeties right there ready to go for the NFL, I mean, you've got an abundance of talent at the position. As you mentioned, Justin Simmons, Kevin Byrd, Jamal Adams. It's so many guys. And unfortunately, I think that we are in the same market when it comes to that safety position, because these are a lot of veteran guys. Now, the thing that's in their favor is it doesn't look to be a strong safety class in this NFL draft. Not too many first rounders going. So any team that is needing of a safety, although there's a bunch of players available, I think that they still will be able to get some money, because you're not going to be able to draft any of these guys, and you're going to need a starting safety. The Bills need a starting safety. They signed Taylor Rapp, but Justin Simmons might command the most money on the open market, so he's going to get his money. So there are other guys available. I know Deshaun Elliott, Brandon Jones, a couple Dolphins who are also available as well. So you got your good guys, you got your medium guys, and you got your guys that are going to be bargain guys. So, that's just another position, as you stated, that's going to be locked and loaded this free agency period.
And the key point you just made about Von Miller, I think that's another big mistake by Brandon Beane. Not only bringing him in, to me, was a gamble. It worked for the first half of the season. Then when he was hurt on Thanksgiving Day over in Detroit on a Thanksgiving game where he tore his ACL. He still hasn't been the same. But think about last year. After he was injured, okay, he's hurt. Let's see. Okay, man, he's slow in rehabbing. Why would you restructure his contract a year ago? If you just would have took the hit last year, and then this could be his final year with Buffalo, really with a cap hit that would be kind of workable, massageable cap hit this year. You could have got out of Von Miller after this season. But guess what, Buffalo? Von Miller's name is going to be mentioned in Buffalo for the next 3, 4, 5 years, possibly by 2027, 28. We might be still paying Von Miller, and he's somewhere at home watching games and out hunting and fishing and doing what he's doing, and the Buffalo Bills still giving him a paycheck. Because when you hear, it sounds nice on the news and stuff, we restructured somebody's contract. Well, what does that mean? Okay, you take some of the money and you give it to him as a bonus this year. You take his salary, you bump it, you give him $7 million, or we don't know how much they gave him as a bonus for this season. They take the salary, make it a bonus, but you still get the back end money of what you owe them that you pushing down the road. So the Bills still going to be dealing with Von Miller on the books, where you could have got him off the books at the end of this season. It just seems like McDermott and Beane, especially because they go together, they just not shrewd enough and not want to put the killer instinct and get rid of guys and keep guys on that roster. And because Von Miller is still going to be somebody haunting the Buffalo Bills roster.
Well, I don't know, Rad, man. I got to see, because, I mean, right now I'm looking at over the cap right now, and maybe the new contract or the restructure hasn't kicked in, but right now, as it states, next season, not this upcoming season, but next season. So you got Von for this season, but the following season, 2025, if the Bills cut Von Miller, there will be saving $17.5 million in cap space, and it's only a $6 million dead money hit. That's a post June 1st cut. So there are some options right there that Brandon Beane are looking at. So that could be an option for them moving down the line.
Oh, that could be. Hopefully, that'll be a good move down the line. And we seeing guys not only with the Bills drafting guys, you got to draft quality guys. You got to bring in. I would hope the Bills bring one of these quality veteran safeties in to go with Taylor Rapp. Because Taylor Rapp was more of a Band-Aid right now over that wound, to cover up the wound for right now, and you get back to him later. Because he stays hurt. You sign him to a 3-year deal, $14 million. He can't stay on the field. The man is a very good safety, very good hard-hitting player, very good football player, but he just can't stay on the football field. That's the only rap about Taylor Rapp. that we have on the negative side. He can hit, he can cover, he makes plays for your team, but he just can't stay on the football field.
Right, man. You just mentioned the slew of picks that you've got this season, 10 picks, I think 11 now. What's your thoughts on this ridiculous, in my opinion, notion of trading up in the NFL draft, trading away some of those picks to try and move up that I've been hearing on major news networks? A lot of Bills beat writers are spreading this, that the Bills Brandon Beane could move up in the draft, get the receiver that you want. In my opinion, it's just like you gotta get as much. You got 10 picks, use all 10 of those picks. You don't gotta trade up for a receiver. But go ahead, Rabbit. What's your thoughts on this idea?
It's a good idea if you get the right guy, but you got to hit on that right player. But the picks, I would try to get as many players that are quality players. Brandon Beane, one thing I got to say that's a positive about Brandon Beane and McDermott is they're with the scouting department. They're great at finding guys in the 5th through 7th round. They find starters in the 5th or 7th round, which is highly rare in football. Usually you get them in the top 3. Your top 3 rounds is when you get your starters for your football team. If the guys can get a couple diamond in the roughs like they had, bringing in different players, like even Quentin Morris. They just re-signed Quentin, a tight end. He was almost out of Bowling Green. The MAC played against University of Buffalo. He's been with the Bills for almost 4 years now. They re-signed him to a 1-year deal. And what you're going to see is a lot of players for the Bills, they're going to sign 1-year deals. Like Mitch Trubisky, he's not he's a terrible quarterback, but he knows the Bills system, and the Bills don't have any money. So the Bills don't have no money. He comes cheap. That's why people are on that. George, they got Mr. Trubisky. What that about? The Bills ain't got no money. That's why they got Mr. Trubisky, man. Everybody know he can't play. He's very limited. There's only certain things he can do, but he knows the Bills offense because he was here already before. So that's a good move bringing him in. And I thought the Ryan Bates move was horrible. I thought they should have kept Ryan Bates. Instead, they're gonna move. They're gonna do what they had to do. They're moving McGovern to center most likely, and moving David Edwards over to guard. They re-signed David Edwards to a new contract a couple of days ago. David Edwards, he said, well, why is he here from the Rams? Well, get Aaron Kromer. Aaron Kromer was the LA Rams offensive offensive line coach. He was their offensive line coach, which he's in that position with the Bills. He brought David Edwards here, and now obviously he's telling Beane McDermott, hey, man, Edwards can play the guard. Instead of him coming in on the third down plays when they need the extra tight end, extra blocking, now he's going to be in a guard position, playing guard, and McGovern going to slide from his guard position into the center position. So you're making a couple of changes that I thought you didn't have to if you would have kept Ryan Bates. But obviously, Aaron Kromer, the offensive line coach, and the Bills front office head coaches decided that Bates was expendable. And that's a shame because I thought Bates played. He showed he could play. He played well for you. You could at least kept him one more year, and the salary wasn't that high that he wasn't a big-time salary ticker that get paid. So you kept him. That was a good move. Saran Neal. I was shocked Saran Neal was making $3.2 million. Saran Neal was making over $3 million as a special teamer. You could have saved his money and you could have got you a couple players for that kind of money that you had Saran Neal on kickoffs and punts. Nice guy. Hey, more power to you, Saran. If you can make that money, make it when you can. But, man, that was way overpaying. I mean, Beane, I don't know why he paid certain guys, and you still the Dawson Knox catastrophe.
Oh, my God.
Why is Dawson Knox getting paid big-time money when you got a guy that just came in and basically doing the same job? He has less drops. He doesn't drop the ball. I can't even think of too many plays where Quentin Morris dropped the pass, where if you threw the ball more to Quentin Morris, you might get more out of him. But you throw to Dawson Knox, even in clutch situations, he's dropping footballs. And then you even had him on the field with a broken hand trying to play. No good and well he was going to drop the ball with a broken. He can't hardly catch the ball with two hands consistently on a regular basis. But you're going to pay him a big-time contract. How you going to give this? Is this some of the moves that the Bills make this scratch your head? And speaking of scratching your head, let's go around the league. Why is it down in your area, down in Coral Gables, Florida, down there in Miami? Wilkinson. Why is Wilkinson on the release block? I thought Wilkinson would be one of your foundation pieces down there in Miami, J-GILLZ.
Well, that's a great point. He couldn't. They've been trying to work this contract for the last 2 years. Ed Oliver, I'm not sure exactly how much Ed's getting, but the Dolphins have offered him about $22 million a season, and he just doesn't want to take it. He feels that he should be the top paid defensive tackle. He's looking for Chris Jones money. Basically, is what's going on right now. He's trying to get 27, 28 million. And granted, in his last 2 seasons, he's been the best defensive tackle at stopping the run. He's had the most tackles. He's had 9 sacks last season. But when it comes to that position, I believe the franchise tag for that position is about 22 million right now, which is that's what we offered him. But he feels that, in this open market, he can get him and his agent, can get the $25 million a year that he's seeking. So he's trying to get about a 4 or 5 year, $100 million contract. And to me, I don't know who's giving Christian Wilkes that money. In my opinion, that I felt the $21 million that the Dolphins offered was more than reasonable. But he's earned the right to test free agency, and that's exactly what he's going to do. You got teams like Houston, like New England, who they do want to overpay. You got to give them that right to do so. But when it comes to that defensive tackle position, it's an excellent draft. I'm not sure if you watched the combine. These defensive tackles coming out of the draft this year are phenomenal. Running sub 540s, just big, strong, athletic. So you have to look in that market. And of course, his running mate, Zach Sealer, who we paid at a much more reasonable cost, I believe an $11 million cap hit a year. And that's the guy who's really been rushing the tackle. You've watched him in that playoff game 2 years ago in Orchard Park. He had that fumble against Josh Allen, and he's always around the ball. He's active. So, the Dolphins right now, and not to mention, when you got a roster constructed how general manager Chris Greer has done it, he's traded Tyreek Hill's a $31 million cap hit. $31 million. Jalen Ramsey, $27 million cap hit. Bradley Chubb, $26 million cap hit. Armstead, $20 million cap hit. So you can't pay everybody, You can't pay everybody. We've got a lot of restructuring to do. We still $20 million over the cap. So we've got to do some restructures. Not as many releases. We've already released our guys, Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker, long-time Dolphins. But, you just can't pay everybody. And there's not to say that Christian Wilkins, he's not to say that he's completely done with the Dolphins. He can easily be back because I think that we'll still have that $20 million waiting for him per season.
Wow, you almost got $50 million or more tied up in your wide receivers. Wow, yeah. That's a lot of money tied up in 2 wide receivers, man, on any NFL team. That's a lot of money. Waddle comes up next year, so you're gonna have to deal with Waddle next season with his deal. But man, Chris Jones got a lot more than him, and Brandon Beane and a lot of these guys got a lot of keep the eraser on those pencils, guys, because you're gonna have to be erasing and re-adding and putting new numbers in there and sharpening your pencils, because man, that's an awful lot of money. The Dolphins. So the Bills are another team. But the most craziest one of them all, I never thought I'd see the day where you release a guy, Russell Wilson, $85 million cap hit. What the hell is Denver thinking about? 85 man, that man can't hold. Wait a minute, he can't hold the clipboard and work with your team and help and work with the wide receiver. I mean, I would ask Sean Payton, does he need his head examined if I was the owner of that? But obviously these owners come in, they must be psyched up and happy to have a football team and not paying attention, because there's no way in the world I would get rid of him. I would try to work a deal where I would still pay some of his salary and he would and the other team would have to pay. But now the way you're doing it, he could go somewhere and just play for the NFL minimum. He could get the NFL minimum somewhere else, and he's still getting his big time money. He's still gonna get his big time money because of the way that contract was written in Denver. Russell Wilson is being paid. A record dead cap, $85 million against the cap, which means what it says to ladies and gentlemen, everybody out here in radio land, what it means is Russell Wilson is counting $85 million toward like he's on their team, like he's on their roster. He's counting $85 million for this entire football season for the Denver Broncos, and he'll be taking his skills and services somewhere else. He'll be playing somewhere else in the National Football League. But yet, when you look at your roster and money, the top one, the first one would be Russell Wilson, $85 million towards your total cap of $255 million, I believe is the new cap figure for this season. So he's counting $85 million of $255 million. You do the math. That's a hell of a lot of big chunk of money that you have against this guy. And I think it's something about his personality that, it's obviously they insulted him saying, we can't stand you, man. We don't want you in the building. We don't want you near the complex. We don't want you in the state of Colorado. Man, just go somewhere, man. It's got to be, man, because it's obviously Russell Wilson is just a nerdy type brother cat that seems to be, he seems to be this in his own little way, but people don't seem to really like him, man. J-GILLZ, interested on his that he's not likable, man, because he plays a certain style where you got to roll him out. He's not a pocket passer either. That's another problem with this guy, J-GILLZ.
Absolutely. I've never shared a locker room with Russell Wilson. I can't attest to how he is inside the locker room as a teammate. When I met Russell Wilson was very nice. He's a nice guy. You know what I mean? I got a chance to interview him this past season with the NFL, when the Denver Broncos played the Buffalo Bills. We talked about his faith. We talked about his religion. He shook my hand. Very stand-up guy, if you ask me. But he has a bad rep, like you said. And I'm not sure if it's just a lot of these guys who are who go the religious route. Sometimes they don't get the best media-wise, but this seems like inside the locker room, there's still an issue. You know what I mean? Like Tim Tebow, for example, Tua Tagovailoa. Media-wise, these guys get criticized, but typically in the locker rooms, they're still highly, comparable in unison with their teams. But for some reason, Russell Wilson just is alienating himself, is what it seems like. And I'm not sure if it's the Ciara factor. I'm not sure if it's some insecurities there because, his outside life, Russ got clowned on a lot back when him and Future, that whole beef there, and he got clowned a lot, man. So maybe he just decides to stay to himself. But to me, I still think he's got a lot left in the tank. I still think he's a starting level quarterback. He's only played for 2 franchises, and when you play for a franchise like the Seattle Seahawks your whole career, and had that level of success, and you were the guy, and everything was catered to you, and then you leave and go somewhere else, that can be a shock. That can be a shock for sure. So this next position, this next place that he goes, this next destination, it's going to have to be some give and take on both sides. This is going to be his 3rd franchise team that he's played for, and he needs a little bit more humility in that sense. And put your bootstraps on, get to work, and show people why you're Russell Wilson. That should have been a household name.
Right, you can't raise yourself above your teammates. Passport, one of our online people, Passport to Wanderlust, is saying, on paper, Russell Wilson seems like a good player, father and husband, but in the locker room, people can't vibe with him. And I think you're right, Passport to Wanderlust. Wanderlust, we enjoy your comments, and that was right. I think you hit the nail on the head. Good family man, father. He does the right thing in the community. He's a role model. He's a true role model for sure. But for some reason, he doesn't vibe with his teammates. I mean, even Richard Sherman and those guys. And you saw what Marshawn Lynch had to say about him. He's just not an everyday guy that seems people. And remember, he comes from a nice family, almost like he reminds me of the guy on the Prince of Bel-Air show with Carlton. Thank you. That's who he reminds me of in real life. When you hear how the other players comment about him, is that because he walks to a different beat. He grew up, and remember, his grandfather was the president of Norfolk State, so he grew up with money. He's not a guy coming from the straight out of, as you say, the hood or the community or whatever the case may be. He comes from a well upstanding family with money, and he kind of reminds me of Carlton, even when he gives us certain interviews and stuff. I'm just waiting for that Carlton to come out in him, but it's not waiting to do that little dance or that move Carlton usually does and all that. He just strikes me as that guy.
A little corny. That's what they say. He corny. That's what they say. They say that's what they say about him.
And the corny works when you're winning, but when you're losing, he goes to Denver. He takes his own office, set him up an own office, own parking spot. The other players don't have a lot of these amenities, added amenities. I mean, man, you're doing a whole lot, and you're not performing on the field, man. And your teammates are upset because they're already jealous of you and upset because you put yourself away from the rest of the team. And that's a lot on Russell Wilson right there. You can't.
But I will say this: this is to Russ's credit. And we all love us some Beast Mode. But Beast Mode was a little unique in itself. He wasn't talking much to nobody. And then you got a guy like Jerry Jeudy. So some of his teammates have been a little off the wagon. But you still got to, as a leader of a team, you have to bring yourself to, get along with everybody. You got to find a way to motivate and have everybody buy in, regardless of the background. So Russ has to do a better job at that. When you talk about leading, you have to have some sort of buy-in, and the fact that he can't get these people to buy into him as a leader is an issue. That's a huge issue. So like we said, he has to humble himself and just truly be the leader that he's called to be, because I don't believe he was leading all the stories that's coming out of Seattle. He wasn't leading that team. He was playing well, but the Legion of Boom was leading. You had guys like Bobby Wagner. You know what I mean? You had Richard Sherman, Pete Carroll. You had leaders. So he hasn't had a chance to truly lead a team, and it's a unique situation that he's in right now. So maybe he'll get that opportunity, but it has to start clicking in now.
Yeah, he was protected by the head coaches. Most of the Legion of Boom guys, all those cats say the same thing, that it was the defense was one team and the offense was another. And, they say, hey, that's why they were so infuriated that they didn't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch to win that second Super Bowl against the New England Patriots when we were out there in Phoenix, Arizona for that Super Bowl week. That was unbelievable how that, and we said it back then that team would never be the same. Russell Wilson seemed like he still hasn't grown to be the leader, a team leader. You can't be independent. You can't have the coaches separating you from the rest of the players. And that's what happened in Seattle. That's what happened in Denver with him and then he took it upon himself to separate himself in Denver. And then now here it is. Is it going to be the Giants, Steelers? The Giants would be good. He's New York City guy, Ciara and all that, his wife and all that, actress and singer, performer, artist. You're in the big lights. That would be perfect for them most likely. But to me, the Steelers would be a better option. The Steelers have a good running game. They have good tight ends. They have a type of team like closer to what Seattle was, a team that can grind the ball out on the ground. You can hit the wide receivers. You can hit the tight end. You can make it play. They have a strong defense. They play well each year. The Steelers don't really have a totally down year where they just totally blow up. They always play well enough to either just make the playoffs or not make it, but look decent and keep a winning record with the head coach to have so many years that Mike Tomlin. I think him under Mike Tomlin, would be a much more suited than him going to the New York Football Giants. And while we talk about that, let's talk about our award-winning Miriam Rivera insurance agency, auto, home, health, and life insurance. Miriam Rivera is our person. If you want to save money, on your homeowners, auto, home, and life insurance or health, well, our award-winning insurance agent, Miriam Rivera, Farmers Insurance Agency, 1038 Lyle Avenue or 511 Bean Road, Suite B. Give her a call, 585-360-0094. Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. And last but not least, Challenger Community News, West New York's largest weekly African-American newspaper. Pick the Challenger up at most businesses in the community. If you have something coming up, send it to editor at thechallengernews.com, editor at thechallengernews.com, or editorial at thechallengernews.com. Send your flyers, send your information, and thank you so much, because we're getting more and more information on the editorial in the editor website, email addresses. Just send your information in, and we'll run your article in the Challenger Community News. Excellent article this week by Frank Guild. It's worth reading. Frank Guild, Independent Contractor Guild of Western New York. He's the executive director. He's the executive director of the Independent Contractors Guild of Western New York. He got a nice article on the editorial page, actually. Buffalo Bills, Gilbane Turner, and the state of the Negro in Buffalo. He lays it all out for you and lets you know why the black folks are being so disrespected out there at that building of that new stadium and things of that nature, and how they're not getting the dollars that they should be getting. Pat Freeman was on with us Super Bowl weekend, and he laid some of that out for you too back then. But I think Frank Guild really hit the nail on the head. So check that article out, and you got a lot more fine articles in this week's Challenger Community News.
That's why you're on the topic, Rad, man. That's why you're on the topic, man. Yes. I saw they did stadium tours. I saw some of these stadium tours, and I didn't see not one person of color in those stadium tours. And, the videos released on the Buffalo Bills YouTube channel, you can watch it for yourself. Not one African-American or minority in there at all. So that was devastating to see.
That's not a good look. That's not a good look. That's why he calls it Buffalo Bills Gill Band, who's the name of the construction company that's building that new stadium out there in Orchard Park. Gill Band / Turner in the State of the Negro in Buffalo. Check out his article. Check out the entire paper. There's a lot of really good articles in there. Challenger has every week. E-Pathways has a big Juneteenth Underground Railroad bike ride coming up. That's going in there. You got the Monmouth School of Music here, the 25th anniversary tour to Rochester. You got a lot of nice articles in the Challenger. Pick us up each week at most businesses in the community, or go to thechallengernews.com. Check out the publication. And we're gonna move in next. I see we have a guest in the studio. J-GILLZ.
Oh yeah. We got a next guest in the studio. Head coach. Man, we got head coach for U Prep in the building. Man, I used to watch this guy for the Rochester Razor Sharks, but coaches on to the next phase. Mr. Jarice Crouch in the building. Jarice, thank you for joining the Real Deal Sports Show.
Oh man, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, a heck of a season, and then last night's game against Niagara Falls. You know, it was a good game, but it was, it didn't end up how we wanted it to right here in Rochester. But just, tell me about the season, how proud of you are of your team, and, obviously, in my opinion, exceeded expectations this season, but, how you feel about how the season went.
Oh man, it was great. I mean, it was up and down. Anytime you got a young team, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, it's always tough. Trying to get them to understand the buy-in, to sacrifice and playing for each other, especially when they're talented. We had a talented, bunch of young kids, and trying to get them to understand that the bigger picture. And eventually when they bought in and realized that, it's we over me, sky's the limit. And, the results resulted us in winning the sectional title.
Absolutely. And I wasn't. How is it working with the young people, keeping them together, keeping them for a long stretch of times, and getting them ready for the season? Because it's a long. It's more than a notion working with young people, right, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, like I said, it's a different time, especially from when I was kids, when we were kids. So the kids are different, but you got to meet them halfway. And that's how you get the most out of them, because they want to be heard, and as a coach, it's your job to listen as well, to get the most and the respect out of these young men.
Absolutely. And what was the keys to last night's game against Niagara Falls? Niagara Falls is always a perennial team coming out of Western New York, out of Section 6. And you guys went at it back and forth in that game last night. What you felt was the keys to winning that game? What should have been the keys to winning last night?
I mean, taking care of the ball. That was probably, we had played them maybe like 3 weeks earlier. And we had a stretch. I mean, we had 20 turnovers that game, and we had a stretch where we just turned the ball over a lot. So coming into the game was just making sure that we took care of the ball, rebound, run, and defend. It's always kind of been our motto. Rebound, run, defend. And so they're kind of like a mirror image of us in terms of they get after defensively. They got a bunch of gritty guys and things like that. So, it's kind of like looking ourselves in the mirror. So, and that's why it was such a great game last night.
Absolutely. And Coach, just going, I want to take it a little bit further back. Like I said, I used to intern when you was the Kobe in it and Chris Paul in it, you know what I mean? back for the Razor Sharks. And how was the transition going from player to coach? Was a coach something that you've always aspired to be? Is that something that you've always wanted to do? Or how did you get into the lane of coaching and then becoming so successful at it?
Honestly, I had no intention. This wasn't something that I thought about. Just playing, and it wasn't kind of to like the later years, of being a leader and seeing everything that has been being thrown at you as a player, and knowing and trying to teach the younger players coming up, being that veteran. And then, you know, people were like, man, yo, you should coach. You should coach. You know, you just have a feel for the game, a gravitation to young people. And so, you know, I kind of was like, all right, maybe I should look into coaching. And then, you know, guys like James Reeves and Demond Stewart, who, you know, were my veterans when I was first came with the Radio Sharks. They were at UPrep, and they were just like, hey, you need to come coach, come be a part of this program and part of this school. And so that's kind of just how it happened.
Wow. So tell me about a little bit of the culture that you've established there for some young cats looking to get, you know, so you got some middle schoolers trying to find a high school right now, man. Tell me a little bit about the culture.
I mean, the culture is, you know, we're together. We talk about UPrep pride, and it's one of those things that we wear proudly. So it's just wanting to transition these young men not only in sports but in life. And the one great thing about our school is that a lot of people in positions that you don't normally see are African American men. And so we kind of want to make sure that these young men see, you know, us in these positions, you know, outside of not just sports, but in a position to help change lives in the school and as teachers, administrators, CEOs, you know, seeing, you know, African American men in those positions can be inspiring, and we want to inspire the youth at UPrep.
Yes, indeed. It seems like you have no trouble. I know you're looking to move. Has they found a new location for the school as of yet, Coach?
Not yet. We're looking, man, and once we do, man, it'll be sky's the limit. We always call it the little school on lake.
Yes,
and we deal with, you know, not having a lot of resources, but it's a testament to the kids being, you know, resourceful and trying to get after it, and no matter what, anytime you have a small gym where you can host games, it's always tough. And now on top of that, having five different teams trying to share a game, and we don't get out of school till 4:00. So, you know, trying to basically cram practices for all these teams in a matter of like 4 hours is always tough. So sometimes we have to get up and practice early in the morning before school and things like that. So if I got to gas up the van and go around Rochester picking up kids for practice, that's what I'll do.
Wow. So all hands on deck sounds like it. Sounds like you have to really be committed to be a part of your program.
Absolutely. You know, and most of the time when I talk to these young men, they all have aspirations of playing college basketball. And I tell them all the time, well, I'm going to coach you like you getting ready for the next level, you know, what to expect at the next level, because that's your aspiration and your goals. So, you know, I'm going to coach them and teach them, you know, so that they're ready from when they're a freshman out the door.
Absolutely. And now, as this season, you know, does come to an end, what are some of the goals for next season? I know it's really early, but, you know, never too early to set those limits.
Oh no, you know, we talked about it last night because we got, you know, a lot of guys that are coming back, and just remember being so close to, you know, being in the state Final Four and having a chance to play for a state championship. You know, so now it's like, you know, putting that work in, you know what you got to do to get to this point. And so, and it starts now, you know. Like I said, I told him I get a break. You know, I know y'all got AAU and things like that, but we know what we got to get better at. We know what we got to work on.
Absolutely. In closing, how can people get in contact with you, with the school about possibly for enrollment, or even just want to learn more about the UPrep experience? How can they get in contact with you?
I mean, you definitely look on our Facebook page, the University of Preparatory Charter School Young Man. On Facebook, just search it up. It has our link to our website. We are 6 through 12, so we start at 6th grade. Now this year was our first year at 6th grade, so we're looking to, you know, get more enrollment there. And so, you know, and it's free. So, and you get to be around, you know, be something in life. So definitely come take a look. Come down on Little School on Lake and have a seat for yourself.
Much appreciated, Coach. Thank you for joining the Real Deal Sports Show on the Beat 105.5. Can't wait to get you back, man. You and some of the kids, man. Next season is going to be a good one.
Appreciate
Thankful
you
here in Rochester, man. You came through and you stuck, and now you're doing even greater things for the community, man. We appreciate you right here in the 585.
Man, appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Deb, we'll send you the link to the show that you can send out too as well.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook at Real Deal Sports Show. So go and hit the like and subscribe button. Click the bell for notifications. Click the bell for notifications. We want to thank all the people that subscribed in the last month or so. We had a nice resurgence of people signing up. So please subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook at Real Deal Sports Show. That's at Real Deal Sports Show. So go and hit the like and subscribe button. Click the bell for notifications. And we got a big fight. All of a sudden, we got a big boxing match coming up. Mike Tyson returning to the ring this summer in July against somebody named Paul. Who is this guy that's challenging Mike Tyson, man? Who is this? Can you tell the audience about this cat?
Jake Paul. Yeah, Jake Paul is man. Going his brother Logan. I think he's in the WWE right now. But this fight to me is just, I don't understand it. Jake Paul's 27 years old. Mike Tyson's 57 years old. I don't think that when you're Mike Tyson, just the experience. I don't think that he's gonna get beat down. But this is dangerous. This is dangerous for the simple fact that he's 57 years old in the ring with a man 30 years younger than him. Right. So I just don't agree with the fight, but I guess they'll do anything to get money these days.
Yeah, and I think this is almost a black eye to the boxing. Boxing trying to make a comeback, and you having circus type fights like this. Right. Well, this is a circus. Come on, Mike Tyson. I can understand they're paying you good money. Obviously, it's some good money being offered for you to come out of retirement at that age, and you're going to fight a young guy who's now turned into a boxer. Because from what I've seen in his last few fights, he looks more like a boxer, or like he is a boxer now. He's not just a influencer on YouTube, an influencer on social media, what you have you there. This young man has found a niche, and he's going up against different quality people. And now he's really going up against a quality ex-boxer. But how rusty could Mike Tyson be? He could find some of it for a round or two, but come on. Like you said, I think it's almost a black eye to boxing. And I'm going to have to ask Don Patterson next time we have Don Patterson on the show with the Golden Gloves. And they had a big event that we promoted last week on the show. They had an excellent turnout for the Golden Gloves competition over there in Buffalo, New York last weekend. Shout out to them. Congratulations on a very successful event. But I think people going to watch it. I think it's going to be a big. I think people are going to turn to it, and people going to check it out, and people going to go for this. But for real sports, what have you? How can this be something that you want to sit around and watch? An aging boxer, ex-boxer, really, because he hasn't fought in many years, against a guy that has been fighting pretty regularly. Because it seems like this guy name come up every 6 months with a bout or a fight against somebody. I think it's really hurting the boxing numbers. UFC continues to grow because the UFC continues to have events almost once a month or twice a month. They seem to have good cards, good title opportunities, and it's wrestling trying to be almost like WWE. It's almost like just for entertainment, but not for true sport champions like it used to be. So I don't see how bouts like this can help the boxing world overall. And if you have a point on that, you can give us a call in to the show as well. J-GILLZ, your take on it overall? Do you think it's helping boxing or hurting boxing?
No, actually, I like how you said that. It's a black eye to the sport. You're absolutely right. People are looking for bouts that that are going to get people more drawing power and in a better way. This is drawing power in like you said, a clownish way, a circus way. Who's going to take it serious? And real boxing fans might not even get this fight. You know what I mean? They might just not even want to order this fight. So we'll see. It's an experiment that we'll see. You know, if they can make money, then we can expect to see more of this mess. But if not, then hopefully it stops and we can get the true, you know, the Errol Spence and Crawford fights that the boxing fans deserve.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's give a shout out to Diasia Fair, Rochester's own Edison Tech and Rochester's own Diasia Fair. Had 23 points last night in a losing effort as Florida State really put it on Syracuse. I think maybe the 8 days off might have hurt them last night coming out because Florida State had to play a game already, and Syracuse was off. And they just didn't seem to get their game going. And also, Rochester's own Sanaya Wilson had 23 points. She read 21 points in the game in a losing effort. She really came through. She was hot last night. It's just a shame they didn't win that game last night. Didn't have enough offense because normally they beat them. Syracuse beat them 79-73 earlier in the season, but not last night. They couldn't get over that 54 mark and really win that game. Really, you had to beat it. They lost 78-65, so they had 65 points last night. But they need to be in the high 70s to defeat a team like North Carolina, a team like Florida State. Florida State, 78-65. Florida State defeats Syracuse, but Diasia Fair with 23 points puts her only 44 points away from the next level. So hopefully they'll get a bid into the NCAA tournament. They won't have a home game because they won't be able to have a home game on their court because they probably will be up in the 20s as a seeded team. And hopefully they can get in there and get some good competition in the contest as they go into the NCAA tournament now that they've been eliminated from the ACC tournament. That's why it was important. I was hoping they would get at least 2 games in that tournament because they could really show what a good team they are and also might possibly get a couple home games in the NCAA tournament that's coming up a couple weeks from now. But that didn't happen since they lost last night in a tough loss, 78-65 to Florida State. But shout out to the Syracuse women's team. Hopefully they'll get look forward to their at-large bid coming up in the NCAA tournament, and they can make a run over there in that tournament as well. And congratulations to Lions. Lions basketball team, high school team defeated Randolph. They beat a Randolph team that was a tough foe for them. Lions is playing some good basketball. They move on. They did win last night over there at Buff State College last night. You got a hell of a lot of games today. Victor plays later on today. So you got some more teams from Section 5 playing over in Buffalo today. But Lions came out a winner last night. They continue to move on in the Section 5 tournament. So it's a lot going on in the world of sports. And yes, I can't leave without mentioning the Buffalo Sabres. Man, the Sabres again, they're gutting the team. Kyle Oposo was traded yesterday. Whenever you trade your team captain, that tells you that's all you need to know about it. Even if you're not following that team or covering the team, whenever a team trades their captain of their team, who's been the captain for the past 2 years, you trade them to another team. That tells you that team right there is in trouble. It's just a fire sale in Buffalo once again. Ever since the Pagulas bought the Buffalo Sabres, they haven't done anything right with that organization. And it's very sad to see an historic franchise like the Buffalo Sabres in the state that they have been in for the past 10 to 12 years since the Pagulas bought them, and has done absolutely nothing to upgrade that team and make that team a winner, or continue to keep that team a winner the way they used to be in the National Hockey League. They're now the doormat of the league, and they're one of the doormats of the league. And to see them trade the captain and making some of these other trades, those trades were not trades to win, y'all. They were trades to garner draft picks and to get other players on that team for future. Have you heard it before? The Sabres are rebuilding. That's what that was all about, a rebuild move. So we really hate to see that happen in Buffalo, and the Buffalo fans deserve a lot more than what they are getting from the Buffalo Bills, from the Buffalo Sabres, of what they've been getting from the Buffalo Sabres for the past 10 to 15 years. That's over a decade long of losing. And now here they are gutting their team once again. Just gutting the team. It's a terrible thing to see and see this organization flounder the way it has floundered all these years to go. NBA action. Lakers, here they come showing up with a really good game against Milwaukee last night. If you didn't see it, get highlights of that game. The Lakers pulled that game out. Young man had 44 points in that contest. The Lakers seem to find somebody that shows up and makes plays. LeBron James was injured, didn't play in the contest. You would have thought Milwaukee would have walked all over the Lakers, but that didn't happen. The Lakers won it. Look for Denver. Denver Nuggets continue to win in the NBA as well. Boston Celtics look like Boston and Denver on the collision course to play in the NBA Finals. And so it's funny, a national guy compared the Boston Celtics to the Buffalo Bills, saying that they blow people out, but when they get in tight, close games, they lose. He said Boston Celtics, Buffalo Bills comparison there. And I couldn't argue with the guy. I said, wow, that is kind of cool. Yeah, Boston doing all these blowouts, but every time they get to a real tight, close contest, they lose. They lose, and they lost to Denver the other night in a tough one as well. So NBA action heating up. Major League Baseball coming. We see it. Ohtani already hitting home runs, doing his thing in baseball and spring training, getting the Dodgers going. Mookie Betts being moved to shortstop from the outfield because the shortstop is having trouble playing the position. So they bring Mookie Betts is a jack of all trades. That guy is a master of all of them. Mookie Betts is one of the greatest ball players. I think you're going to realize after his career, Mookie Betts, you've seen one of the greatest players of all time, Mookie Betts. This guy can play almost every position in the field, except pitcher or catcher. But this guy's playing shortstop now for the LA Dodgers. The guy he's just a class act and a very good baseball player. So spring training is about to wrap up. We're well into the spring training seasons. My Toronto Blue Jays picked up Joey Votto from the Cincinnati Reds, who was a free agent. He's also from Toronto, from the Toronto area, so he's going back home to play baseball with the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees keep adding talent. They got a lot of nice veteran players, and they're mixing in the young talent this year. So keep an eye on the Yankees as always. Boston seems that Gallardo came over from the White Sox. Gallardo, this guy gave up all kinds of home runs, had like a 6 ERA, runs per game average, horrible pitching. Now
Rock us on with hip hop and R&B.
Come on. Yes, BacSpin. Yes, BacSpin. How you doing, BacSpin? BacSpin, you there? You there, BacSpin? We've been talking sports of all sorts. And we're going to catch you next week. The Rad Man want to thank you for coming on, everybody. We want to thank the head coach of UPrep for coming on the show. And we're going to see you next week. BacSpin, time for you to do your thing.